Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Flags in a Gym, a podcast dedicated to all things color guard. My name is Eric. I'm your host and resident color guard nerd, and today's episode is our last one in the 2026 Regional Recap series with the Stuart Regional Plus event. We have lots to talk about, some big announcements, and prepping for the final big regional weekend. So sit back, relax, and let's talk some color guard. Okay, welcome back, everybody. It is the final regional recap episode. It has been a very long, very busy season, at least for me. I've enjoyed it, but this has been a lot of stress trying to get these cranked out in basically 2 days. So I do want to apologize that this episode is late. I'm going through some things at the moment which have taken priority over the episode. And, these recaps are tough to turn around so quickly because I have to get the episode outlined, recorded, and edited and ready for publishing in basically just 2 days because I really can't start that process till Sunday night. And everything's got to be ready to go Tuesday night. So I have to do all that while working my 9 to 5 and doing the whole husband and parenting thing after that. So I've been burning the candle at both ends for a while, and I'm glad for the upcoming small break. And then after Dayton and after all the Dayton recaps, I'll take a nice big break. I'm still going to Bethlehem this weekend, and I'm excited to see everybody there. So if you will be there, come say hi. A couple big announcements before we get started. If you didn't listen to the previous episode, one, I do have a merch store now. Many people asked about ways they could support the podcast, and I set up a small merch store with my Clap for the Flags line of merch. There are 2 Clap for the Flag designs that you can get on shirts, a tote, or hoodies. Some people have already bought stuff, and I've been sent pictures, and they look great. I have a couple myself. If you want to support the podcast and more importantly, spread our message of clapping for the flags, definitely check out the merch store. Secondly, the Dayton predictions episode is coming back again this year. And this time I'm doing a community contest. I made the announcement on Instagram and last episode, but in case you didn't hear it or see it, I'm making it again here. You'll be able to make your own predictions along with me and enter for the chance to win prizes. All the rules and information are going to be posted to Instagram and Facebook soon. The contest opens March 25th and will run through April 7th. There's already a flyer on the Instagram page that gives you a basic rundown. And then at the end of this episode, I'm going to give you a more comprehensive rundown on how it works, scoring, and prizes. So if you're interested in that, make sure you tune in at the end of the episode. Last quick announcement, make sure you're following on Instagram because that is my main source of information and contact. If you want to reach out to me, Instagram Messenger is the best. You can use Facebook. You can use email, flagsinagym.pod@gmail.com. But Instagram is where I do most of my work and communication. Also, some kind of big news that kind of broke this week that has been blowing up everybody's social media feeds is the independent open waitlist issue with Dayton. Emerald made a post saying they've reached out to WGI saying, hey, can we get in? Can we get in? And WGI basically said, no, sorry. And they're obviously upset. They're like a 4-time independent open finalist. They've been in independent A finals. They're like seated 9th in the rankings right now. And there are 5 other groups on the wait list as well. They all deserve a chance to go and compete. Independent Open is the only class with a wait list right now. For some reason, no clue why, Independent A is sitting at 71 units of their allotted 65. So they're 6 units over, but there is no wait list. Independent Open is sitting at 6 units over, but there is a wait list. Emerald has started a movement. Get on WGI, pressure them, let these guards go because they need to find out now because they've booked airfare and hotels. And if they need to cancel them because they can't go, eventually that window is going to come where they have to cancel or they lose their money. And we don't want this to end up being Tuesday night. They find out, oh, they can go to Dayton and travel the next day. So check out Emerald Independent. They have a big post on it. Lots of hashtags, lots of mentions. Make sure you get out there and support these teams, y'all. Everybody deserves a chance to go. I don't care what the quality of your program is. If you're new and you're not that great, if you're a historic, amazing group, I don't care who you are. If you want to go to Dayton and compete, you should be able to. And honestly, it's not like we have 50 guards that are waitlisted. It's 6. 6 color guards. And they do 4 rounds of independent open prelims. You can easily put 1 in each group and then find another round to put a second one in. It's not that hard. It's not like we need to add 20 more guards. So pressure WGI and let's support our brothers and sisters in the activity, just like we did when the Florida guards found out they couldn't go to WGI events because of the whole school board thing. People jumped on that train real quick. Now we need to get on board this train. Let's get these independent open guards off the wait list. Let's talk about the weekend as a whole. We had 7 regionals again this week with Avon, Mansfield, and Stewart Plus events. And then we had Richmond, Bellevue, Las Vegas, and Salt Lake City. 3 of those were 2-day regionals. And we had a couple Scholastic A guards break 90 this weekend. So scores are starting to jump, and we're getting towards the end of the season. Things are starting to get really exciting. I do want to give a quick shout out to the kids at Elizabethton High School as they head to the Buford Regional this weekend. I talked to a couple staff members. The kids love to listen. So I want to say hey to you. Best of luck at Buford. Go out and kill it. I will catch you on the stream. I'm not covering the regional, but I will make sure to catch you. Other things from the weekend, we did have a small weather delay in Stewart due to some heavy rains. I talked to somebody there, and I guess floor faulting was outside, and they had some unexpected rains, which kind of really put a wrinkle in everything. And it did affect the flow stream a little bit, like because the flow stream had a weather delay, and the guards kind of in front and behind of that delay started to get really choppy on the feed. But overall, flow did pretty well with this regional. Speaking of flow, let's put our blanket statement up front about these recaps. Remember, it's not the best picture, it's not the clearest, so colors and images don't come through perfectly. So if I incorrectly say your uniform is a certain color, I'm just going off what I can see, especially in dark colors, black, navy, dark purple, dark gray. They all read the same on the camera. I've tried to go to Instagram and try to snag uniform shots if I can, or flag shots if, there's a digital print on your flag and there's a design on it, but I can't be perfect because the camera's not perfect and I'm not there, but I do my best. Also, this weekend, what was with the dead crowds? Like, WTF? What was going on here? Especially Avon. I put on something on Instagram about like what's going on in Avon. Why is this crowd so dead? Clap for these performers. Come on. We already talked about clapping for the flags. They weren't clapping for anybody. And when I really noticed it was when Avon World Guard came out to perform in their home school. They were the host of the regional, and people were just like, "Oh, okay, cute." Like, really? Like the host school and like one of the best, if not the best, Scholastic World Guard out there, and you're like, oh, yeah, yeah, okay, cute, I guess. It was just so strange. And after I posted on Instagram, many people messaged me saying, yes, it was so weird, it was so uncomfortable, so awkward that they were performing in practically dead silence, especially for the world teams. Now, A guards are probably used to it because they're going on early in the morning. And when you go to Dayton and you got to perform at 9:30 in the morning at the convention center and there's 4 people in the audience, excluding the judges, you have to learn how to turn it on and, provide your own energy. But these world guards that go on late at night and all the A guards and regional A guards are there cheering them on and screaming, they're used to that environment. And then it just didn't happen. And then I had other people say Salt Lake City was the same, Manhattan Beach the week before was the same. Let's make sure we're clapping for everybody, not just the world guards, not just the weapons. Clap for everybody. If you haven't listened to the previous recap episodes, welcome on in. Here's how they work. I'm going to go through the guards and let you know kind of what everyone's doing, how the show flows, and any fun highlights or things to keep an out for. Maybe a small piece of like constructive criticism of like, oh, maybe I wish they could have done this, or it would have been really cool to see this happen. Things like that. I can't cover everyone due to the size of the regional, and honestly, because I'm already behind. I'm short on time, so this one's going to be chopped up even more. I apologize. But if I miss your group, I am sorry. I'm happy to give you my thoughts directly if you want them. Just message me on Instagram. I do get a lot of messages, and I promise I will get to it. And I'm one of those people that if I don't respond right away, I respond in my head, and then I don't respond at all because in my head I responded to you, but I didn't physically type it out. We all have those people in our lives, right? You send them a text message and they never respond to it, and they're like, "I responded," and they're like, "Oh wait, no, I didn't." Yeah, that's me. Sorry. I'm going to cover Stewart only. I know I had mentioned I might cherry pick some guards that we hadn't seen out of other regionals. I just don't have the time. I'm sorry. When I had my list, it was like 10 extra color guards, and that's at least an extra 30 minutes added to the recording and the editing and the episode as a whole. So I'm just like, I can't. I apologize. I do want to give of some very quick shout outs just to some groups. So Norwin High School, I love, love, love this show. They were using Game of Thrones music, and these kids have hands. I love it. Watch out for them in Scholastic World. Campbell County High School and Scholastic A at Avon, probably the coolest flag feature I've seen from anyone all season. Make sure you check them out if you can. It's really clever, really good prop usage. It's really cool. So Campbell County, keep an eye out for them. And they're like seated second right now, I believe, in Scholastic A. So Should make finals. Should. Obviously, we know anything can happen, but should. And then Lexus also was at Avon in Independent World. And I know I screwed up with the Indie Regional and was going to give you a proper regional here, but it's just not in the cards this week. But this show is gorgeous. It's coming along nicely, and it's so good to see them back on the floor. So shout out to Lexus. I love you. But let's get into the Orlando color guards. We're going to start with Scholastic A and Stewart. There were 15 guards in finals, and we're only going to cover the top three because I'm super short on time. And I'm tired. I am tired, y'all. I've been churning these out and doing so much. And yeah, I am tired. In third place, we had Apopka High School with a show no title. They may have forgotten to submit the spiel sheet because that happens sometimes. But we had no show title. And they had a black floor with a bed in the backside two corner and a dresser. So kind of like a small bedroom setup. And then in the very front side one corner, they had a white and black plaid blanket just kind of sitting there. They end up using later. The guard is in kind of like a grayish or maybe like a dingy white uniform that looks like pajamas. And they start with body on the bed and they are quickly moving around the floor. The music is called Binary Data 5, and it's a fast paced piano piece. So we have lots of body, and then gray flags enter from the bedroom setup area, soon followed by guns. There's a gorgeous turnaround from the rifles to catch on like a musical impact. I really like the soundtrack. It's very energetic and it's kind of mysterious, and it's got like a low, a middle, and a high kind of section in it. They continue to spin, and we have a rifle replacement section while the flags and body continue. And then eventually they pick up that blanket and they run to the bed. So they're running on a diagonal from side one front to side two back. And they do a rifle head chop ripple, right? The rifle's tossed, they squat down, the blanket comes over them, and then they catch their gun. So they do that all the way down. And then they have a very quick down moment. And then they come right back up with equipment again when the music picks back up. Rifle switch to saber. And they have a nice saber and body feature in the back of the floor. We get a saber toss into another musical impact. And we have gray and black kind of swirly flags. It's kind of hard to read, and they head to an ensemble with these around the bed, followed by a saber toss that kind of ends on a quick ding, and then they lay down, cover the performer up with a blanket, and the show ends. Very cute. I was watching prelims because I had to do the rebroadcast. Flo decided to rebroadcast the prelims run instead of the finals on Monday. So I do know their prelims run was kind of shaky. I don't know if their finals run was better, but I do like the show. Second place, we had Fort Walton Beach High School with their show A Cloak of Scarlet. And this is basically a Little Red Riding Hood show. It's a nice take on it. They have a dark floor with gray tree trunks that are going vertical from like the front to the back, printed on the floor. And then they have actual like props that connect to them that stand up out of the floor so they can hide behind them. And then printed on the floor is a wolf with red eyes on it's on the side two edge of the floor. And the guard is dressed in Little Red Riding Hood inspired costumes. Like it's not a literal translation, but you look at it and you're like, oh yeah, they have a red hood, but it's still very color guardy. The soundtrack starts with nature sounds and a wolf howl before a track enters, and Shazam told me it's Colder Heavens by Blanco White or Blanco White. Sabers enter from behind the tree props, and there's a nice soloist that comes out first, and then more join, and then we have Saber and Body before a flag soloist is introduced, and it looks like there's like scratch marks on it or maybe claws. And they do a cool thing throughout the show where they use a voiceover of the Little Red Riding Hood quotes, "Grandma, why is your mouth so big?" or "Why are your ears so big?" Those kinds of things. And when that happens, a flag comes out that matches the quote. So we have more flags entering with these like maybe scratch marks or whatever, and they're working with the sabers and flags, and then a voiceover says, "My, what red eyes you have," and out come these flags with red eyeballs on them. Then the flag line gets a very nice moment on the floor before the guns enter on "My, what strong hands you have," and they toss and catch. That was a cool effect there too. Like I said, you have a very clever use of the voiceovers to introduce equipment. The rifles continue to spin as body comes out with like a red material, and they do duos with this, where they're kind of wrapping the material around them and they hold it in front of their face and they toss and they pull it away, those kinds of things. And then a mostly black flag comes out, and I'm assuming it has teeth or like a mouth on it because they say what sharp teeth you have in the voiceover, but on camera, it basically looked like a black flag. So we ensemble with these and they push to the front while spinning and they give us a great toss right in our face. And then the show works its way to the end. It's very cute. I love the concept. I love the take on Little Red Riding Hood without being too literal. It's a darker take and it's not so cutesy. And yeah, I like this one. First place was Cooper City High School with their show Not So Bitter After All. And I said it last time. I'm going to say it again. Now, this was a different version, but they're using Bitter Earth. The song needs to be retired from Color Guard. We've seen it 40,000 times. I will say I appreciate they kind of took a different approach on it. Like they didn't use the same version that everybody else uses. This was a cover version by Veronica Swift. And this floor is stunning. It's a map of the world, and the outside edges are like black and white. And as it gets closer towards the center, it becomes more colorful. And the guard is in blue unitards that are dark blue up until like the breast line. And then there's a light blue up for the rest of the shoulder and a small capelet off the back. It could be dark blue all the way up underneath, and then the capelet comes over the neck as well. But what I could see, it looked like it might have been connected at the chest line area. They open with body into a saber solo in the center of the floor, and then they have a saber ripple that leads us to a red flag entrance. I don't know if this is the final flag. It's late in the season to not have silks, but I do know a lot of people have been having trouble getting their silks from some companies, which is a different story. But compared to what comes in the rest of the show, these look like placeholder silks, so I'm hoping they get them. If not, they're just bright red silks. And there is like red within the printing on the floor, so that could be what they're going with. But just kind of looking at the show as a whole, the silks themselves just seem a little out of place. So we have sabers, flags, and body working together, and they have some ripple moments that work really, really well. And they work these three for a long time. They have a nice flagline 45 before a gun entrance in backside 1, and then more guns enter and the red flags leave the floor. And I'd say about half the guard at this point is on gun and the rest are on body. And then we're doing a popcorn feature before a flag of blue, yellow, and purple enters. And then they ensemble with these. And there's some nice tosses in this ensemble. It's really nice. And then they lay the poles down around the border of the earth on the floor and they finish out with body. It is Bitter Earth. It's not the same version we've heard. And the kids are great. Like I said, the kids have no impact on the design at all, right? Or the show music. It's not that I don't like the show. I just don't like the song because it's been used so much in the sport. But very nicely done, Cooper City. Let's move over to Independent A. In third place, we had FIU Gold in their show Beethoven After Dark. And they have a dark blue floor with a gold crescent in the backside 2 corner, and then like faint music staff lines that start on side 1 and kind of wave across the floor. I don't know if they look like they disappear kind of center-ish. Maybe they keep going and it was just the lighting in the gym. You couldn't see them. They have 6 kind of funky music stand props. Like they're not like a traditional music stand shape. Like they're kind of cut out weirdly. And there's one in solid red, one in solid blue, or sorry, 2 of each color, red, blue, and yellow. They're just solid colors. And the guard is in a dark color costume with gold trimming. The soundtrack is, for the most part, it's like jazzed up or redone classical pieces. So some of them almost had kind of like a salsa flair to them. Each piece they use kind of like the traditional original version of it briefly, and then there's a quick change, and then the energy shifts. So they start all in the crescent shape, and the body works their way out along the curve of the music stands and rifles laid on the floor. And then the guns pick up and toss, and we get a soundtrack shift on the catch, and this is where the music picks up. Then we have pink flags that open up in the backside 2 corner. Rifles, flag, and body work to the spiced up music. And there's a very cute knee spin 45 from a flag soloist. Yes, sis, good job. They all come to the center, and 3 circles are all working and weaving around each other. We've seen this before in Color Guard. We love it, right? We have a circle of flags, a circle of body, a circle of guns, and they're just kind of like spinning and moving in and out of each other. Always a great moment. Then we have a down moment, and sabers begin to enter to Moonlight Sonata. And then there's another soundtrack shift, and the rifles come back out with lots of attitude here. They're flinging their hair, flipping their hips, and all that. And then a piano flag comes out with red, blue, and yellow on them to match the colors of the music stands. And they enter in the back, and then we gun and flag in this high energy ensemble moment, and then there's a quick finish on the music staff lines. There's no flag ensemble. Boo. You know I love a flag ensemble. But they have a very high energy finish, and it just drives and drives and drives, and then boom, the show ends. It's cute. I liked it. I like the take on it, and I love the twist on the music. So nice job, FIU Gold. Let's move on to second place with Relentless and their show This Room of Mine. Now, this floor is really cool. It's a black and white floor of circles, kind of overlaid all over each other, but they're not filled in circles. They're like lines of circles, and the uniforms are black and white as well. And they were a finalist in A-Class last year. They're using the song Big White Room by Jessie J, and they all start in the side 2 back corner with body, following the line of one of the circles on the floor. And it's a big theme here. They use the lines on the floor very well. They're beautiful movers. And then sabers enter in the same corner, and the saber soloist just kills it. More sabers enter, and then black and white flags join the party. They move to the big circle in the middle of the floor as flag, saber, and body works together. Then they move to side one front corner to transition to gun. Rifles and gun work together before everyone moves to gun, and we have a lovely all gun feature. After that, we have a body feature with a little gun trio at the same time, doing lots of exchanges to each other, which was really cool. And then they ensemble with a purple and pink flag, and the ensemble is beautifully written. And they finish out with body. And they just need to clean some things up. But this is a great show. It's very effective, very impactful. One to watch for finals again for sure. Our winner in Independent A was Orlando Visual and their show Neon Moon. Now, if you want to hear more about Orlando Visual Performing Arts, I did do a program showcase with them, and that's on episode 23 if you want to check that out. We recorded it when they announced they were coming back out before this year's season. But let's talk about their show. The guard is in dark uniforms like a black unitard with blue accents. They have a hardwood floor, printed floor with a blue and purplish tint in the backside one corner where a tall neon light sits that has a moon on it, and that lights up throughout the show. They're using a cover of the Brooks and Dunn song Neon Moon, and it's a fairly large guard. There's like 27 or so performers on the floor, which is awesome for a brand new unit. I mean, they're returning, but they've been off for quite a few years, so to pull 27 members is amazing. They open with body before a flag starts us off, and it's a pretty blue and white flag, and that's introduced when the lyric says the world turns blue. There's a trio of flags that are absolutely killing it, and no one is clapping. Rude, rude. And then more and more blue flags join. And I will say this, the biggest takeaway I had from the show is Orlando Visual is clean. Like they are looking almost Dayton ready. I know we have a few more weeks, but I was like, wow, they are really clean. They have a body and flag statement, which is lovely. And then they move to gun and body. And another thing I love about the show is I love that it's written like an A-class show. It's not overwritten. It is extremely well written and it's written to the performer's skill sets with just a little bit enough to challenge them so it's not too easy for them. But the kids don't look like they're struggling to get their equipment around. We get a new flag entrance of brown and white with a design on it, maybe like a lasso or something on a flag. I couldn't figure out what it was. And then the guns transition to saber. They have a saber and flag moment before introducing a purple flag with a crescent moon on it. And they ensemble with these, and it is stunning and clean. So, so good. We get a solo front roll toss from on flag before we dwindle away to body for the end. And this is really good, y'all. Like, for those of you looking at your Dayton predictions lists and trying to think of ideas, keep this name in your IA short list for sure. Love it, Orlando Visual. Love it, love it, love it. Let's move on to Scholastic Open. We're going to cover the top three. In third place, we had William R. Boone High School with their show Out of Silence, Our Voice. And they had 6 individual tart pieces, probably about 20 by 20 each, that had like different prints on them. And the guard is in black and gray unitards. And, you know, in my notes, I'm typing the show opens with silence or kind of murmurs in the soundtrack, but I couldn't tell if that was the track or the crowd. And then as the show went on, I realized the entire show is in silence. That's where the show title is Out of Silence, Our Voice. So as the show progresses, the performers start making noises on the floor, and they're kind of like guttural noises. They're not like saying actual words. It's more like, yeah. Well, almost like you would hear kind of at like a martial arts center, but not as hi-ya-y kind of sounding, you know? But they're more like, ooh, just making these just kind of vocalizing vowel sounds and stuff. Not gonna lie, it's kind of strange. And I know that's kind of William Boone High School's kind of thing. They do these kind of out of the box, really out of left field kind of shows. And this is no exception. I will give them massive credit for doing a show completely in silence because incredibly hard. There's no tempo. Eventually, as the show progresses, the performers start providing almost like a soundtrack with noises and they start to sync up with their vocalizing and what they're saying and chanting. It's interesting for sure. So we open with all body before the guns finally enter, and they use breath moments to kind of realign their timing as a group, because it's not fully in sync because it is completely silent. There is no tempo there for them. So they'll do, like 30 seconds of something, and then they all go and just kind of reset and kind of reset the tempo or the pacing for them. And then they resume with the next moment, which is kind of cool. And then they start yelling. And that's where I was like, what's going on? And then it took me a while to figure out, like, oh, okay, because of the show title, Out of Silence, Our Voice. They have the guns going, and then out comes a pole with a black silk on tape hanging out at the top of the pole while the performer spins it, and then they end up reconnecting it and spinning. Then they have body, and then a striped brown and black flag comes out, and it kind of matches the color scheme of the 6 individual floor panels they have on the floor. And they continue to get more and more vocal as the performance goes on. They move to a flag ensemble that they're chanting through, and it is cool, it is nice. I will say I'm not a fan of silent shows because they're just very awkward to me, like, I don't want to cheer and cheer loudly because it's going to throw off the performers, and with them doing these chanting and these, like, kinda noises, I'm like, "What is happening?" I'm like, "What is happening?" They continue to get more and more vocal. They do the flag ensemble, and then they fold up the floor pieces, like, into so that it's all black because the backside of them is black, and then they come to the front of the floor, and they're, like, talking to the audience, but they're all, like, speaking over each other. So, like, as they ripple to the front, they arrive at their spot, and they start talking to the audience, and they're all just kinda like, kinda talking over each other, and then it comes into unison, and I don't know the full thing they say, but they say something, 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 "Our Voice." It could be the show title, Out of Silence, Our Voice. I couldn't catch the first part of it, and that's the end of the show. It's weird. It's their style. I applaud them for standing out and doing something different, and I applaud them for taking a huge risk by doing a completely silent show. So, nicely done, William R. Boone. Second place, we had Bartram Trail High School with their show Be a Rainbow in Somebody Else's Cloud. And this guard was promoted from A class a couple years ago when they were in top 5 at Dayton. I believe this is their second year in Scholastic Open. They have a beautiful floor of white clouds against a dark grayish black sky with a faint rainbow that comes from the side back one corner kind of towards the side two front corner, but it's really faint. Like you see it, but it's like barely there. It's like seeing a rainbow in real life where you're like, "Oh, look, I can see one in the sky a little bit." I will say the flow stream was sputtering really badly during them due to the heavy rains at the show, and they stopped the show for a weather delay after this performance in prelims. So by the time you get about halfway through the show, flow was basically on its last legs. It was struggling to keep up. So I didn't get the best read on this one. Unfortunately, that was a weather thing that really wasn't a flow issue. It was more weather. Their uniforms are a gray to yellow to white fade unitard with some gray stripes that kind of go diagonally across the chest. It opens with a Maya Angelou narration, maybe from an interview. It's not like her reading a poem, from what I could tell, because I've heard many Maya Angelou readings, and she has a very specific delivery when she reads her poems. And this sounded like she was talking in an interview. And they start with body to Maya Angelou speaking, and then the song starts to dwindle in, and it's a cover of the song Imagine by John Lennon. They have a saber soloist on the stage that's in backside one corner. So there's a stage back there, and the saber solo enters there while everyone else does body. Flags begin to come out from the stage, and more sabers enter. They saber, flag, and body while the song and narration continues. And then we move to rifle, and this is where the stream really started to crap out on us. We have a rifle feature as more flags work their way onto the floor, and it's a lovely purple and blue cloud flag. They worked the side two back corner, and then the show jumped ahead 30 seconds, and they were in a flag feature with pastel flags, kind of all one color blue, all one color purple, all one color kind of a peach with a little design on it. And the flag feature looked really lovely, but I know I'm beating a horse with this, but the stream really made it difficult to see what exactly was going on. It looked lovely, and I wasn't able to catch finals. So it looked like a very beautiful show. They placed second, they scored well. So it looks like they're doing very well in open class. So congrats to Bartram Trail. First place was Timber Creek High School and their show Joe. And the floor is dark with a print of an old building, maybe like an apartment building or something. It's kind of hard to explain, but it has like gated entrances, but not like fancy gated entrances, like old stuff you'd see like if you're watching like an old Sherlock Holmes, just like I said, it's hard to explain. And then, but the gated like archway door areas are like backlit on the floor, and everything's kind of like in a deep purpley gray black kind of tone. The uniforms are purple pants and a gray and black top with ruffles and buttons. And the music this is the most interesting piece of music I've ever heard. It's a cover of Cotton Eye Joe by the Rednecks, that original by the Rednecks, if I hadn't been for Cotton Eye Joe, I've been married a long time ago, right? That song. That's what they're using, but it's like a slower, folky male and female duet of it or whatever. It's so interesting. And they use that for the whole show. They start with body before guns enter, and then rifles continue to spin while body works. And it looks like we have a Joe on the floor also because the lyrics reference Joe and all the characters kind of gesture to a performer on the floor that I think is supposed to represent Joe. We continue to add more guns until the flag enters and it's dark with a print on it. And then the flags and guns work here, and it's nicely done from everyone. And then the stream started getting jumpy again because the weather was still trying to get its act together after the delay. We have a solo cartwheel toss from a flag before we change the mood again with sabers, but shout out to that flag line person. Yes, with that cartwheel. And then they come out with sabers. And as in Florida tradition, these performers look very comfy with a saber in their hands. Like we have like these little pockets of color guard. California was always like the flashy kind of performers, and Florida was very dancey. And then the Northeast, like the Boston area, they were the technicians, right, of equipment. But the other thing with Florida is like Florida guards have always been very good with sabers. I think because with saber tends to be more body focused and more fluid, and because Florida was already very dancey in their kind of style, that they just naturally took to being very good on saber. So we see that here with this school. They're good on gun, but when they pick up a saber, it's just completely different. Those Florida sabers, y'all. Back in the day, Stoneman Douglas was their saber line was incredible. Like when those girls had a saber in their hand, watch out. But these sabers continue to work, and then we have a dark purple flag come out that kind of matches the hue of the floor. And they ensemble with these, and the ensemble is amazing. It is excellent. It is so good. I was like, yes, guys, yes, this is amazing. And then they dwindle off and they go back to body as they close out the show. It's very, very nice. The music is so like, huh? Like you found like a non-annoying cover of this song. It's so funny that this is the song they're using. But great job, Timber Creek. Let's move on to Independent Open, and we're going to go with the top two. In second place, we have Vestige Independent with their show Far Above the World. And it is Vestige. I always thought it was Vestige until I heard their pre-show announcement that was pre-recorded, and it's their Vestige. So I learned that. And they're a brand new unit this year. This is their first year in existence. They came out in Independent Open, and they're doing great. Their floor is a black, spacey floor with kind of purple and gold gas cloud areas with little stars all over it. When you think of just a space show that's very minimal, it's exactly what it looks like. It's not overly done with like stars and planets and comets and meteors and blah, blah, blah. No, it's just like mostly black with some stars. There's a purple cloud area in the middle, and then a gold kind of in like the side to back corner ish. And the uniforms are blue with silver sequin accents. And the pre-show starts with like kind of like an astronaut to home base, like come in mission control and, all these things. It introduces the group and the show. It was really cool. The music is Space Oddity, covered by, I didn't write down the artist, but it's a cover of it, the ground control to Major Tom, that song. So it's a cover of that, and it's like a live cover of it. And they start with Body in the center of the floor, and a saber solo in the front corner with a gorgeous toss enters in. They do sabers and body work, and then we have a saber popcorn feature before a blue and white flag enters, similar to kind of like an aurora or like a cosmic flare kind of thing. It was a really pretty design that you immediately see space in it, but you're not like doesn't have like a big picture of a planet on it. It was really pretty. Flags Sabres and body work. They have a nice toss over the flagpole from the Sabres, and then Sabres switch to gun, and then eventually 2/3 of the guard or so is on gun, and the rest is on body. They do a gun feature with most of the guard, and then they move to a silver lame flag for an ensemble moment. And they do a good job to pick up kind of all the runny piano moments in the soundtrack that's happening. We love musically written choreography. They ditch the flags and switch back to body, and they all move back to the center to finish the show. It's a great job from Vestige, especially for a first year program coming out independent open. Keep an eye on this program in the coming years. They're going to be doing great. You know, independent open's going to be very tough to make finals this year. I don't know where they are in the rankings, but keep an eye on them because as they clean, they could be clawing for one of those final spots for finals. So best of luck, Vestige. In first place, we had Tampa Independent with their show Moving Out. And this is they're movers, right? They're a moving company. They're going to move you to wherever you want to go. They have a room layout floor similar to Noir. Like Noir has theirs in like beige and browns, where it's like a top view looking at like of a apartment layout with the lines showing you where the rooms are. Tampa Independent Opens is very similar, except theirs is a white, mostly white floor with blue lines everywhere. Their uniforms are blue movers uniforms with red accents. Some have like red bandanas, kind of like Rosie the Riveter-ish, or they'll have like a red t-shirt underneath and their coverall is kind of opened at the chest a bit. So you have that pop of red at the chest, things like that. And there's lots of cardboard boxes everywhere. And the interesting thing about these boxes is I thought they were like true cardboard boxes. Like, everybody just saved their Amazon boxes for the show, but they're not. They're light enough that they can slide them around and pick them up over their head. Like you can tell they're lightweight by the way the performers move them around, but they're also strong enough to support the performer's weight because they use them as like stages and step stools and everything. Like they're sitting and standing on these. So I'd be intrigued to know what these are made of because I found it very interesting because I thought they were just straight up regular cardboard boxes at first. They have all the boxes kind of piled up in the backside one corner with all of the guard except for one person who's on side two front. And that's how the show starts out. The music is Moving Out by Sammy Ray and the Friends, who we talked about at the Manhattan Beach Regional with the Jackie Onassis show. So I know a couple guards are using that Jackie Onassis song, and then we have Tampa Independent using Moving Out by this group. So it looks like this could be a popular choice for color guard as well lately. They start with body, and then the guns enter with a very nice turnaround toss, and then an orangey brown flag enters. Maybe I couldn't tell. Was it maybe kind of like supposed to be like kind of like a U-Haul or maybe a moving box or something? But I got kind of like a U-Haul vibe from it, which totally makes sense. And then we have guns and flag, and we move to the center of the floor. Sabres join, and we have like 4 people on each piece of equipment working while the rest of the group is on body. Eventually, we fill out the lines and we continue to spin. So we have more people spinning equipment, but there's still a strong dance line out there as well. The boxes move around the floor a lot, and the performers use them as stages for spinning and such. So they use the boxes a lot, and they're constantly moving them, which, if they're movers, makes total sense. They do a saber replacement toss in the center before a purple and red flag explodes on the edges, and then we move into the floor for the flag ensemble. And when I say saber replacement toss, if you haven't heard me use that before, you toss your saber and you walk away and somebody else runs up behind you and catches it. And we just do that in a big ripple. So that's what I'm talking about there. Flag has a house on it, and it's a nicely layered feature before we come right to the front of the floor. And then they just spin right in everybody's face. They're like, boom, look at it. They're like 3 tight lines just kind of packed up at the front of the floor, just twirling for their lives and just giving it to us. And yes. And then we move quickly to a body finish, and then the show is done. I know they're in a very tight race with USF. They were at the Tampa Regional with them, and I think they were only a couple tenths apart, and they may even switch spots between prelims and finals. So they have a really tight race going on there, so it'll be interesting to see how they do when they come up to Dayton. So best of luck to Tampa Independent Open. Let's move to Scholastic World. We had 5 units in Scholastic World. Our 5th place unit was Sun Lake High School, and their show, The Bluebird Cried. They have a blue floor with 3 gold, like, ring circles on it. They're not filled in. It's just, the outside of the circle. They have a small one kind of near front center. Then they have a bigger one in backside 2 corner. And then they have the biggest one that doesn't even fully fit on the floor. Like the design is literally cut off at the edge of the floor, is on the backside 1 side. And the guard is in two-sided uniforms. It's blue on the front and gold on the back. In the small circle at the start of the show, they have a bunch of 8-foot-ish gold, like PVC pipes. Like they took got 8-foot PVC, painted them gold, and they're stood up all around that first circle, around the edge. Shazam could not find this music. I had a lot of trouble identifying a lot of the tracks from these guards, so I don't know what the song is. They start with body within this first small circle, and then a blue flag with a purple accent starts in the circle as everyone else leaves for the second ring. We get a nice sit roll 45 from the soloist, and then we eventually have one flag in each circle before sabers enter. They work with sabers and body and two flags, and then they end up picking up the tubes and they spin those for a little bit with the sabers and the flags. Rifles begin to enter in the third circle, and then we kind of move to each ring. So we have like 3 rifles in the big one, 2 rifles in the medium sized one, and then 1 rifle in the small one. Some golden colored flags entered, and we have a tube run across the floor, head chopping the guns. And then a gold and black flag feature happens around the small circle up front while 2 guns spin inside. Then when they pick up the tubes and then they put the flags in the tube holder, so now the flags are now outlining the ring in the stand props, and they pick up the tubes and start spinning them. And then they move the tubes all around to the big ring in the back of the floor. This show's pretty good. I mean, I wish they did more with the two-tone uniforms to emphasize, because the uniforms are so striking and they have that strong line. I wish they played more with the blue and the gold. But it was a nice effort from Sun Lake High School. Fourth place was West Broward High School with their show Walk On. And they had a super colorful floor of 15 squares, and in each one is some sort of footwear, whether it's a picture of shoes, flip-flops, boots, heels, although where are the Crocs? There are no Crocs on this floor, and this is color guard. We wear Crocs everywhere. So, West Broward, why are there no Crocs on your floor? I know they're ugly. We all know they're ugly, but still, why is there no Crocs on your floor? They have 4 shoe rack props that are kind of like bookcase sized, about 4 shelves high, and they're connected together, that are starting on side 1. And the uniforms are hot. Like, you need to go to their Instagram and check these out. I cannot describe these. They are super colorful and patchy and just, yeah, they are hot and they are so Florida. And I love the uniforms. The soundtrack starts with like the sound of heels walking on a floor, like that click, clack, click, clack, click, clack kind of noise. And then everyone is over by the shoe racks on side 1, except for one body performer who's, working with the walking sound of the heels. And they walk out onto the floor, body and guns. And there's a single pink flag as well. And the soundtrack is just a mega mix of all these songs that have walk in the title. So it starts with Walk On by Dionne Warwick. And side note, if you ever needed a really good laugh, go look up the Dionne Warwick, LaToya Jackson, We Are the World clip. It is so, so funny. It's a clip from an interview that a reporter was doing with Dionne Warwick that shades the hell out of LaToya Jackson, and Dionne Warwick cannot contain her laughter when she does it. It is so funny. You have to go check it out. I'll link it in the show notes so you can watch it because it is hilarious. But the soundtrack shifts, and I type up my notes kind of as the show goes along. Like I watch it and then I watch it again, and I'll type up notes. So I wrote in here the soundtrack shifts, and then I realized it's going to change a lot. So we get a lot of quick jumps in the music. Like sometimes we're only getting 15 seconds of a song until it jumps to another one. So sabers come out and join the pink flags. Then the shoe racks move out onto the floor. And then we have a saber ripple that goes into orange flags. And then we have a blue flag solo that kind of counters the orange flags on the floor. And that's during another quick soundtrack change. And then this is where the soundtrack really just starts bouncing back and forth between songs. So we have guns and purple flag spinning. And then a yellow flag gets thrown out for Walking on Sunshine by Katrina and the Waves. Everybody knows this song. They ensemble with these, and they have a very cool moment when they all go to the back and do a runaround exchange. So they all toss and then run to the next flag to catch it. And then we end with the heels walking sound. They had a lot of excellence issues, to be real. I mean, just hopefully they can clean it up before WGI, but it's very colorful. The soundtrack is fun, and the uniforms are hot. So production value on this one is great. Let's move to third place with Stoneman Douglas High School and their show, We Built This City. And they have a construction floor. And remember the old picture of all the New York City skyscraper construction guys that were sitting out on a steel beam eating their lunch, like 200, 300 feet in the air, and people are like, you guys are just sitting there eating your lunch?" So their floor is basically that without the guys on it. It's a top view of a skyscraper being built really high up in the sky, and they have steel I-beam props that they use and a mini crane as well, like, one of those giant L-shaped ones you'd see when a building is being built. And sidebar, there is not enough money in the world to make me ever climb one of those. They're dressed like blue collar workers in browns and blues and such. And they start on the I beam props that are laid on the floor with body and saber. And the music does change a couple times, but it opens with a cover of "We Built This City" by originally by Starship, and the cover is by Aaron Wright and Jill Andrews. The sabers are great. Lots of tosses under the I beams, and then capped with a walkover toss. So they prop up one end of the I beam, they toss and walk through, and then we have a front walkover toss. The music shifts and skyline flags come out and they join the sabers. They have voiceovers of construction workers kind of woven through the soundtrack. The sabers eventually switch to gun and join the flags and that no one is clapping for. Rude. Again, clap for the flags, people. Clap for the flags. I'm going to have this printed like on my tombstone. Clap for the flags. We have another soundtrack change as we go to body and gun for a bit. And then they have some cool rifle tricks with the spinning crane that they spin the crane around and, with rifle tosses. And then the I beams are stood up. A blue and pale yellow flag kind of joins the guns and has a nice moment here. There's something printed on it. I couldn't figure out what it was. And we have a moment of rifle tricks and then a new flag introduction of, like, I believe it was a sunset skyline. So think like the New York City skyline with just a beautiful sunset behind it. And they ensemble with these. It's a good show. It needs some polishing so they can get into that top 15 at Dayton. And I'm looking forward to seeing this again in a couple weeks because if they get this clean, they could make finals. They're improving. They didn't make finals last year, but I know they were kind of close. This year, I think they could do it. I think they can do it. So keep pushing, Stoneman. Let's move on to second place, which was Tarpon Springs High School with their show, What is Real? And this show is black and white striped everything. The uniforms, the props, the floor. It's very graphic, very geometric. It's really cool. They have stage props and prism shaped things. And I like the setup a lot. And the way the lines intersect, it's almost like it plays with your mind a little bit and the way things kind of pop out of the floor. So I really like how they did this setup. They open with body to a fast paced, like cello and piano piece. Shazam could not find this music. No clue what it is. And I tried and tried and tried. And Shazam was like, nope, sorry. We have rifles enter with solo tosses, and the rifles look like they're taped so that the facing of the gun is solid white, but the all the way around, like the top and bottom, like the bottom where the strap is and the top where the bolt is, all the way around is taped with black, and kind of to go with the whole black and white striped theming of the show. The guns and body continue to work, and just like we talked about with El Dorado at the Manhattan Beach one, the props move around a lot, and they do so much with them with changing the staging, creating new spaces on the floor. So just a blanket statement about this here. Just know that that's what Tarpon does with a lot of these props. They use them a lot, they move them around well, and create new spaces and shapes on the floor with them. Sabers bring out a circular kind of stump sized prop and then they stand on top of them and spin. Then we have a pink and blue striped flag that joins the party. There's lots of rifle in this show. I think they were like, you know what, rifles are strength. That's what we're going to go with because there's a lot of rifle in this show. They do have a down moment for a little bit with a body and a single gun before they bring more guns out. And then out comes a pink and blue and yellow flag with a black and white striped section on it. And then boom, ensemble. Seriously, this ensemble caught me off guard. It was just like, bam, all these flags all of a sudden opened. I loved it. I was like, yes, I love a flag explosion, especially when I don't see it coming. They threw a nearly flawless lasso 45 to absolutely no cheers because this crowd was, I don't know, blind. I don't know. And then they end with a high 45 where they lay down and catch under their leg. It's a very, very nice feature. It's probably the best part of the show. The flag ensemble is it's great. The flags dwindle off as a few guns remain on the floor, and then we have some more tosses, and there's a popcorn feature as we climax towards the end. And the show stops for a second. I feel like it's almost like a fake out ending. And then we get like a final rifle ripple of tosses that go to the side back two corner, and that's where you get the official end of the show. There's lots going on. The lines and everything is really cool, and it adds a ton of depth to everything. And this is one that I think takes a few watches to get it all because while everything is just black and white, it can be a little disorienting at time because of the way the lines intersect and we weave over and overlay each other. It's very well done. It's sometimes it's just sometimes these shows are kind of a lot to take in. This is one of those shows. Very well done. Flag feature is amazing. Love, love, love this. Watch out for them for top 5. I mean, it's Scholastic World, that top 6 or 7 is going to be insane. Keep an eye on Tarpon. Our winner in Scholastic World was Flanagan High School with their show Until It's Over. And this is an all black setup. It's a black floor with a black on black print of swirls, it looks like. I did go to their Instagram page and I found their show announcement on Instagram, and it looks to be the exact same pattern there. So if you want to see what it looks like, you can go to IG to their page there and find it. They have dark uniforms and they're kind of like our standard color guard patchworky costumes, where the right breast is something, and the left breast is a different material, and then the one leg is one color and the other leg is or a different material, just that kind of thing. And the costumes are dark blue and blue mesh and blue sequins, and they're kind of like covered up at the start, which we'll get to in a little bit. They do have dark benches that are kind of all around the edge of the floor that don't move. And then they have a long pre-show, just like they did last year. So they do a lot of body as they pre-show and set up, and then body and weapons prepped. And you're like, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? They end up in 4 pods, and they immediately start with a double rifle saber of 4 people. So they each have a gun and a blade, and they're spinning both of them at the same time. And then they kind of put them down and they move to all body, and they have a gorgeous breath moment as they form an hourglass shape on the floor. And this seems to be like the real start of the show. They've already done the performing their program. Please welcome Flanagan High School. But it's if you ever gone to like a fancy meal and you get that amuse bouche, there's that simple one bite to just kind of get the meal started. That's what this opening feels like. It's just a quick little here, try this on for taste. And then we're going to stop for a second and then we're going to give you the meal. So we do this breath moment into the hourglass and then they give us the meal. The music is A Più Tip NC from Andrea Bocelli and Ariana Grande. I know I just murdered that pronunciation. so, but it is an Andrea Bocelli and Ariana Grande song. And we're doing body to this, and then sabers enter in the back as body continues, and the sabers are excellent. Absolutely excellent. The flags join with various colored silks in pink, green, blue, or purple. They're all the same like pattern, but just of a different color, like we've seen from a lot of color guards this year. So that's the color palette they're working with. And then rifle joins in also. They work all 3 pieces of equipment and they have a lovely ripple toss sequence. The flags were getting minimal love from the crowd. This is a trend that, across the sport, but it was really noticeable here at the Stuart Regional. They all move to the benches in the back, and all the weapons are on gun now. And then the uniform gets unraveled. So we have like a gun and body moment, and the body person kind of grabs the gun, and a piece of material just kind of stretches, and we get the full reveal of the uniform. And the one side of the uniform is black or dark navy, and then the underside has like a brightish color in it. It's not like neon, but there's a color on the underside. And then they do this feature with the strips of fabric and the guns. And it was such a cool way to hide it because it was on the uniforms the entire time that we didn't realize it. They do this really cool unwind turnaround toss, like you're starting a lawnmower. So the guns are wrapped up in the material they toss, and then the body person pulls the material, and the gun performer turns around as the material unwinds on them, and then they catch their rifle. It was very, very cool. We move to a popcorn feature of guns with lots of really cool tricks, including an aerial cartwheel, walkovers, backhands, turns, all that good stuff. Kids are just showing off at this point. The flags come out with a various shades of soft pink, gold, purple, and blue. And they do a very quick feature before the flags are laid down in a circle with the silk kind of displayed. The pole is straight and the silk is out to the side. And then 2 sabers finish. One's in the front 50, one's on the back 50, and then the rest of us are on body. And that's how we finish out the show. It is very, very good. They still have some cleaning to do, but it is very, very pretty, and the kids are amazeballs. And this is going to be a medal contender at Dayton for sure. I will say, comparing the scores from Stewart to Indy, Indy was a lot higher. And my theory behind that is that in the Indianapolis area, you have so many Scholastic World Guards there of such a high caliber that the competition level is higher. So I think you tend to see those guards score higher until you get everybody in the same room at Dayton. With Florida, you just have these couple handful of guards. But if you go to Indianapolis, I mean, when I went to the Indy Regional there were 12 World Guards there that were all like from the area, except for Shenandoah who came in. So you have like 11 groups there. Where in Florida, outside of this regional, you're getting maybe 2 or 3 at a show. So when you have those 11 and 12 groups to really compare everybody to, I think the numbers tend to get pushed a little higher. So I wouldn't read too much into Flanagan being at an 88 and Center Grove breaking 90 and Avon being at a 91 or anything like that, because all bets are off when everybody gets to Dayton. We know that. So I would say Flanagan is definitely in a medal contender spot. All righty, let's move on to our final class with Independent World, and we had 2 units here. 2 very competitive units with each other. They've been flip-flopping back and forth all season. So second place was FIU Pegasus World and their show I. Not as an eyeball, but I as in me. And this is a combined unit. This was FIU and UCF that combined together. So you had UCF Pegasus and then FIU. So that's why they're FIU Pegasus. And they combined this year. And they have a light purple floor with like a pink fingerprint design all over it. And then they have about 20 or so, I'd say maybe 5x5 square floor pieces. They could be a little bigger with more fingerprinting on them. And those are kind of in a different kind of pinky orangey tone. Half the guard is in white and half the guard is in black. And each has an accent of fingerprinting, like kind of up on the upper breast shoulder area. The white has kind of like a black accenting, and the black has kind of almost like a silvery kind of accent to it. And there's no rhyme or reason to the black and white. It's not like boys and girls or weapons and flags. It's nothing like that. It's just half the guard is in black, half the guard is in white. They start paired up on the small squares with one black and one white performer in each square, and they open with body. And I'm talking about the uniforms here, people, please. Before somebody takes this out of context, I'm talking about the uniforms. And then guns enter with 4 like turquoise and green flags, and they use this one silk throughout the show. It's very pretty. It's like an ombre from a turquoise to like almost like a pale neon green. And at the moment, spinners are in black while the body people are in white uniforms. And as I said, it doesn't look like the guard is broken up by color for the full show. So currently, the black uniforms have the equipment and the white is the body, but very soon after this, some people in white pick up weapons and flags and join the parties. More guns enter, and some of the squares start to disappear. They start stacking them on top of each other, so they'll drag one of the small square floor pieces on top of the other, and they start shrinking that down. So we're left with just 5 of these on the floor, and the ones that are not stacked are taken to the backside one corner or the front side two corner, and they're flipped over. Some of them have white on the backside and some have black. And they put 4 of them together to almost build like a home base kind of thing. So there's like a white home base in the back left and a black home base in the front right. And then the rest of the square pieces they stack on top of each other on the floor. And so at this point, they separate our performers into our home bases based on our uniform colors. So all the white uniforms are in the white square, and all the black uniforms are in the black square. I'm really trying to word this so it doesn't sound racist when I do this. I don't want to be like all the white people are in the white square and all the black people, so I'm going to say uniforms. But they do body in there, and then sabers start to enter from each of these bases. And there's a really gorgeous like look away toss from the saber. So they come in like kind of near the center of the floor, they toss, and then they turn their body to look away like behind them, and then they come back to catch their saber. And it was just beautifully done. Beautifully done. They continue with saber and body before guns start getting chucked out again. And then we're back to gun and flag. And then we move to a flag ensemble with these turquoise to green silks. It's not a full ensemble, but it's mostly full. Like 2/3, maybe 3/4 of the guard is spinning. And again, Shazam was like, no, girl. So I'm not telling you what this is. But the music has kind of an electronica vibe. And there's like kind of vocal noises in it, like ooh and ah, just like somebody that's singing, but not singing with words or just kind of vocalizing. The final squares are removed, those little smaller squares, and we're left with just one in the center. And then everyone else piles into their what they do is they have the home base, which is 4 squares connected to each other, and then all the rest are turned over into one single square, and that's placed in between the center of the floor and their home base. So you have like this diagonal line. You have a big white square in the back left, then a small white square. Then in the center of the floor, you have the pinky orangey fingerprint little square coming down to side two. Front corner, then you have a small black square and then a big black square where the home base is, right? So we have like a home base and like a remote base. So everyone piles into their remote base of their color, and then they all kind of merge together in the center. And then they have one performer in white kind of walk towards the black home base, and then the reverse on the other side, the black walks towards the white, and that's the end of the show. It's an interesting concept. I'm not sure I totally get it, but that's really on me. We've talked about my brain and how some of these high concept things I just don't get. But I can get the spinning and I can get the body and I can get the things like that. And that's really well done. As I said, they're in a tight battle with Tampa Independent. They've been going back and forth all season. So it's going to be interesting to see how that continues as they head into Dayton. So good luck to FIU Pegasus. Our last group of the competition was Tampa Independent. They were first place in world with their show Tethered. And they have a blue, black, and white floor of squares and rectangles that have like the appearance of being hand painted and blended. They're not like defined edges. They kind of bleed together. And the guard is in black unitards, and they have like a hook like right in the center of their chest, like like a ring. And similar to Arcadia, they hook things onto this, but they have elastic straps that they use to tether to each other. They also have about 10 rectangle black bench props on the floor, I believe. They open with body before sabers and guns enter in pairs, and many of the people are connected to another performer while they're spinning. So they connect at the chest with these rings with these white elastic straps, going with the tethering theme. An indigo and pink flag enters the floor and it joins the weapon body pairs. We get a lovely 45 from the flag line. Yes, flag line. And we continue to work and eventually move to everyone over to side two for a gun and body movement where they really start using these straps, right? They start using these straps very well and in all these ways. And then a white flag with a blue tail enters, and they spin while holding the strap with another person. So they're spinning with one hand while they're holding onto the strap with another. And then our guns popcorn toss, and we have an ensemble moment from them. We get a nice 45 with a layback legs up roll with these flags. So it's kind of the new trick this year where you kind of roll down onto your back and your legs are perfectly straight and you lift your legs up and then they come back down. I've seen a couple guards do it. I have no idea what to call it. So if it has a name, let me know. But we have a ensemble with these flags and they do this cool toss. And then we dwindle off with rifles and a couple flags. They do have an ensemble rifle toss in here. I don't see it in my notes, but I remember there. Oh, there it is right there. I skipped it right there. you're getting a little inside look at how I do this. They do have a mostly full rifle ensemble where they do a turnaround toss together. And then they move to pod work with the guns and the straps. And then this is where the white flag with the blue tail enters. And I already told you what happens there. But they dwindle off with rifles and a couple of flags. And then they have 2 pods in each corner and a body person with a large strap. So they're backside 1, front side 2. And then they have body people kind of trying to run towards the center. And they just have a really, really big piece of material to represent the straps they were using earlier. And they're trying to get to each other, but they keep getting pulled back by the material. And then they finally reach each other at the end as the strap, quote unquote, breaks. There's definitely a lot of added difficulty with these elastic straps, but overall, the show is very subdued. It's very understated. It's just simple and elegant. Like I said, I want to see how they keep duking it out with FIU. And yeah, good luck to Tampa Independent as you head to Dayton. And that's going to be a wrap on our regional roundups for the season. Yay! We do have the big regional weekend coming up with Buford, Palm Desert, San Antonio, and Bethlehem. This is our final regional weekend. Good luck to everybody going out there. Put on your best performance. Get those ranking scores up. I will be at Bethlehem, so if you will be there, come say hi, please. I will be in my bright orange podcast logo shirt on prelims, and then I'll be wearing my Clap for the Flag shirt that you can get in the merch store on Sunday. Before I go, I do want to give you that rundown of the predictions contest. So if you're here for that, here's how that works. So I'm going to open the contest on March 25th, and it's going to run until April 7th. And you get 1 entry, so choose wisely. You will pick the top 5 from each class in no order, so you just pick who you think is gonna be in the top 5. You don't have to rank them for this question. And then you're gonna pick the medalists in ranked order for open and world. You're gonna tell me who wins gold, who wins silver, who wins bronze. And there are points assigned to each prediction, with A class being worth more because it's more difficult to predict, right? Scholastic A has 140 units. You have to pick the top 5. Where Scholastic World has 26 units and you have to pick the top 5, right? It's a little easier to pick the who you think's gonna be at the top at World, right? I mean, let's review. We all kind of have an idea who's gonna be up at the top in World, especially independent side. So those aren't worth as much. So for each correct guess, you get assigned the point value for that question, which is listed on the entry form. There are bonus points available for sweeping a category. So if you get all 5 correct, there are bonus points. For the medalists, you get points for correctly identifying a medalist, bonus points if you correctly identify their place, and then another set of bonus points if you get all of it correct. So, just for an example, if you say Paramount, Fantasia, and Etude are going to be the medalists in Dayton, and they are, but not in that order, you get points for each of them. But then you say Paramount wins gold, Fantasia wins silver, Etude wins bronze, and Etude does get bronze, you get points for that. That's how it works. So you get points for picking the medalist, bonus points for picking the correct placement of the medalist, and then another bonus if you get all 3 correct. There are 3 tiebreaker questions that'll be used to break positional ties for first to third, because there are prizes for first place to third. Tiebreakers are a winner take all. There's no points assigned to it. So if there's 2 people tied for first, I go to the first tiebreaker. Whoever's right, they get first. The next person gets second. There are 3 questions just because I wanted to make sure there were enough tiebreakers so I wasn't stuck with how do I do this? How do I pick a winner? Make sure you're following on Instagram for all of the latest news on this. Everything that's going to be your best source of information there. And yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to answer. It's going to be a lot of fun. Don't stress out about it. The prizes are listed on Instagram. Third place wins a clap for the flag shirt of their choice. Second place gets a clap for the flags tote. And then first place will get a personalized gift box from me with lots of goodies in it and a free clap for the flag shirt of their choice. So once again, make sure you're following on Instagram. That's the best place for all of this. And that's about it. So if you'll be at Bethlehem, come say hi. I'm open to pictures. I'm open to hugs or whatever. I know some people are weird about that stuff. So that's all cool. And I wish everyone the best of luck, and I will catch you next time. So until then, stay safe, stay fabulous, and remember, at the end of the day, it's just flags in a gym.